Hello everybody, I've got another story now, and this is fantastic. It's called, but it's not really fantastic, it's quite evil actually. You know, I'd clear my head when I'm watching television, because when I had we've all got problems in our brain. Sometimes there's always a trauma in a previous life, or, sometimes in this life, but sometimes it's mostly in previous lives where something really bad happens in your previous life to you. You have this brain that really rocks around. It strikes you better when you're young. So this is a mind that I had to get rid of it to sort of clear my mental illness. But there's always going to be chances, and I'm going to have to sort of, express it. So here it is. It's called, I watched Seventh Heaven, and that was so lovey-dovey. And of course, a lot of people probably didn't think it was lovey-dovey. And I always visioned, and this was not very good, that, it would be nice to see Simon having a few problems, because he was a bit of a teaser in a way, in my opinion, on the program. So I actually had this story, but I wrote it in the story instead of actually going online trying to find him like a lot of people do. And I wrote this story, and I wrote it out of me, and this is how I did it. Okay, here it is. It's called The Seventh Heaven Movie, The Kidnapping of Simon. Eric Camden is having a hard time battling with his faith in God and his family sharing problems with him that are problems no man on earth can answer. And when he went to the church, one day a homeless man befriended him because he really needed money, and Eric really wanted to help him out. But the church funds are so low this month, and the homeless man accepted it as he went over to the park bench, where he slept for the night. Every night, the homeless man had a few of his old school friends really partied in the town park, making a lot of noise. Oh, have a few beers, have a few beers. And none of them were really looking like going far. Apparently, that night, the homeless man in question got a bit pissed and decided to go around mugging people to get some cash. And Eric's son Simon was out with his friend Luke, and the homeless man went up to mug the reverend's son to steal what he had. But Simon kicked him in the gut. Very hard. Simon went home, and that he decided, boy, to tell his family. Meanwhile, the homeless man really wanted revenge, and had this plan. First, he will send phony email to Simon's teacher, and then send another phony email from a fictitious character named Bob Bright, and went upon his plan to kidnap Simon and ask Eric to pay the ransom from the church funds. But first, he had to fool a few people into believing he can be a good relief teacher. When the day came, Simon caught the bus to school with his friend as normal, and when they got to their school, they put their bags in their lockers and they all went to class. And Simon and his classmates noticed they had a relief teacher, which Simon wanted to tease a bit, like kids do. They tease the relief teacher. Na, 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 because they don't really know this teacher. And so, and the teacher knew what he was talking about, and Simon and his classmates were shocked, and the plan worked, because he has a great reason to get Simon before the end of the day. And really, mate, the school really make the school think twice about checking for qualifications. And then Simon said to him, "You dick-faced teacher, how do you spell fuck your motherfucker?" And straight away he told Simon to stay back after school. And Simon was worried what his dad would say if he was home late today. Then, when the bell went, the teacher went to Simon's desk and put his hands over his mouth and quickly told Simon, "You ain't on detention. I have you, and soon you will find out that you have been kidnapped, Simon." Simon was scared, and in about 1 hour, Simon was tied up in the homeless man's stolen BMW's boot, and despite struggling, Simon thought he was going to kill him, and in 1 hour the homeless man rang up Eric from work and showed him a photo of Simon tied up in his boot. And if he wants to see him again, he has to give him the money he needs. Eric went home straight away to alert the family that they must come up with some money to free Simon from the boot of his BMW, and his wife and kids were very shocked, and Lucy was wanting to face this kidnapper face to face. And Mr. and Mrs. Camden said no and wanted to call the police, despite the kidnapper saying, "Call the police, dead Simon." Eric decided to deliver the ransom at the church, and he was there, but he refused to give back Simon because kidnapping the reverend's son was going to make him rich. And he told Eric, "Keep giving me money and I will decide when you see Simon." Eric told him that God doesn't take too kindly to kidnapping. And the kidnapper said, "Yes, but I don't believe in God. So I believe in the reverend's son. I believe in killing the reverend's son. And if he doesn't stop preaching to him, because if there was a God, there I would have a home. And you have no son named Simon." Simon tried to call Eric, but the gag was wrapped around his mouth too tightly. And Eric went home to his family and his wife to call the police. And we will take the risk because he is playing with fire. And he is using Simon to scare us. And then Lucy went out to try to rescue Simon, thinking she knows where he is being held. But the problem was, she was right. And also, yes, now the kidnapper has Lucy as well as Simon tied up. And he caught up the Camdens and told them, "I have 2 of your kids with me, and I can make you pay a bigger ransom. And I will tell you, you will never, ever see Simon and Lucy ever again." The Camdens were shocked, and Mrs. Camden tried to make sure she doesn't lose any more kids, as she locked the door and then held the key in her hand, saying, "I am not losing any more kids tonight." And Eric told the kidnapper that, "You've had your fun. Kids are innocent. Take me and let my kids go." And the kidnapper said, "You have hairs on your body. I like the no hair in people." So Lucy and Simon are doomed forever. Well, the Camdens all slept in the lounge room, staying by Mrs. Camden's side, because none of them wanted to be next in line, while Eric gave him the rest of their savings, and still he didn't get the kids back. And Eric got mad and said, "You have taken all my money. What else do you want with me, with Simon and Lucy?" And the kidnapper said, "I want Simon and Lucy to suffer, just like I did. Well, originally, I just wanted Simon because he made fun of me the other night. But Lucy, she has nice kitty legs. I like the feeling of not giving her back to you either." And Eric said, "You damn pedophile! I am sure if Simon said he was sorry, he could go. They are just children. And if one day you have children of your own, you will be interested that this is wrong. You are a pedophile and a kidnapper." And the kidnapper got his rifle and brought Simon and Lucy out, pointing their rifle at their backs, and told Eric, "If you let these kids out of your sight, I will kill them. And I ain't afraid to kill kids." And Eric brought Simon and Lucy home, and the whole family were reunited. Lucy was quiet for days, and as she was traumatized, but she got over it. And Simon thought it was cool as he bragged to his mates about being tied up in a homeless person's BMW. But deep down, Simon was scared, and he and Lucy talked to each other about it every night so they can figure out why they were targeted like that. While the homeless man was in prison, and he said, I will kidnap Simon again. I will actually kill him too. And well, whether he said that just to live in jail, we don't know. But it worked. He's got his wish. He's living in jail. Actually, that's the life you'd get if you do something like that. Like if you see if you actually take kids in this world, or you actually try to kill, that's the kind of life you get, mate. So I wouldn't actually even do anything. And sometimes that's the way life is. Bye-bye.